Yo, Jonathan here. The iPhone 17 lineup is less than 2 weeks away from being announced, and I'm really excited for it. Yet, for some reason, there actually is a reason, my potentially dumbass just bought an iPhone 16e. Now, when this initially came out, I was in a pretty bad health run, so I completely missed it. Like most Apple releases, it was a bit polarizing, but I think from my perspective, it really just comes down to price. If they somehow brought this in at $499 US, it's pretty hard to have any kind of beef with this phone. I think it's a home run. But because of that $599 price tag, especially because of some of the features that were omitted, I can absolutely see the criticism. Recently, I've been shooting more and more on air quote real cameras as opposed to just the iPhone. I grabbed an FX2 to check out, and this isn't sponsored, but Sony also has an incredible companion app called Monitor and Control, where you can not only use your smartphone as a really great external monitor, but you can also control everything. So initially I was using this combo with my 16 Pro and it was amazing. The display looks ridiculous, but having the 16 Pro just as that external monitor and then losing it as a secondary shot or angle or BTS camera was kind of a pain. So much so I knew I wanted to get a dedicated external monitor so I could then free up the 16 Pro. It's no secret that I love the iPhone for filmmaking and still use it all the time. But once upon a time ago, before all the chaos and health problems, I was so lucky and fortunate to get to work on some of the coolest cameras on earth. With those cameras, I was also lucky enough to work with small HD external monitors. To me, those were the holy grail. Just with the state of everything right now, we are trying to ball on a budget, so small HD was out of the question. I heard some great things about the Hollyland external monitors, ordered one on Amazon, and honestly, I was a little bit disappointed. Not because they're bad by any means, but because the display on the iPhone was so much better. At that point though, I don't want to grab another 16 Pro or 15 Pro for that matter just to use as an external display. So that got me thinking, could the iPhone 16e at half the price do the job? It's a 6.1-inch OLED display with great resolution. It also packs a P3 wide color gamut, great contrast ratio, and in my case, 800 nits of max brightness. It can get, however, up to 1200 nits of peak brightness with HDR, but in my case, I'll just be using SDR. The A18 chip inside feels super smooth to the point where, in addition to the Monitor and Control app, I'm also screen recording and it's not missing a beat. Now, in another non-sponsored stuff I love segment, this setup from Peak Design is insane. They have a magnetic mount that you can attach to any kind of case. That then works with their companion magnetic mount, and honestly, it is just magic. From there, you mount that to the FX2, and you have a pretty ridiculous setup. I do want to mention that one of the more enticing things with this FX2/16e setup is you can connect things directly through USB-C. It's always great when you can go straight from the horse's mouth, but in this instance, I'm going wireless, which also works great. Yes, having an external monitor in a talking head situation is really helpful, but arguably what I would say is more helpful is having that in a top-down situation. I forget the exact model, but this tripod is from SmallRig. It does a really great job of giving you enough extension so you can get this top-down shot. I'll go ahead and link that below, but in this case, once the camera is locked and loaded, you really don't want to mess with it. Enter the iPhone 16e, which I can of course use handheld, kind of like a director's monitor, or in this case where I'm sitting down trying to get the shot, just placing it on the stand works wonders. I remember the old days of pressing record on the camera itself, waiting for things to stop shaking, and then getting your shot. What happens if you wanted to get multiple shots though? You got to go press stop, record, stop, record, stop, record. It was a whole thing. Again, through this modern day miracle, getting to use a phone as an external monitor, you can trigger recording, start, stop, and more importantly for me, make sure everything is super dialed in. A couple quick tips for you out there trying to get a top-down shot at home. I see a lot of people who will either light from the front and just light the ever-living crap out of the shot. Typically, that's not super flattering. I also see light just coming from the top, which kind of works. The side, I think, is maybe the second best approach, left and right, if you can kind of fill things in. But for me, just getting the biggest, softest backlit source you can is going to get the nicest result possible. One other tip I would say is to fight your Tony Northrup and stop down. I know it's super tempting, especially with these incredible cameras, to just rip things wide open. But in this instance, I think we want things in focus. So nothing drives me crazier. There's probably more things that drive me crazier, but seeing a top-down shot where just like 1% of it is in focus. So for the sweet spot, I'd usually start around f4, sometimes f4.5, or sometimes even f5.6 if you really just want to get everything right smack in there. You do, of course, need more light, but I think in terms of top-down, that's the way to go. I do also want to quickly thank not only the model and subject of this beautiful top-down, but today's sponsor, Ozlo. They reached out, wanted to support the channel, and sent out their Sleepbuds, which I'm super excited to integrate into my ongoing health routine. As we all know, and Brian Johnson likes to remind us, sleep is probably the most important thing we can do for ourselves. I am no stranger to falling asleep with earbuds or headphones. The problem is though, A, it can be a little uncomfortable, and B, because of how they fit, by the time I wake up, they fall out and I have no idea where those things are. Enter the Ozlo Sleepbuds. They pack so much tech inside this compact form factor. I like the fact that these are super low profile because I think we've been there where we fall asleep or try and lay down with earbuds and it gets really uncomfortable to the point where maybe we take one out and just listen to one. These also create a seal within your ear which will passively block out external noise. So even if you're not actively listening to something, you're still blocking out the haters. And by haters, I mean noise. You get up to 10 hours of use off a single charge, and arguably the coolest thing with these Sleepbuds is there are built-in sleep sounds that are stored directly on the earbuds themselves. There's like a day left on their discount for 35 bucks off and a free travel case. So if you want to check that out, support the channel and improve your sleep, I'll have that link down below. Now in a talking head situation like this, you could totally leave the phone mounted on top of the camera, and I think it'd be a better option than the built-in flip out screen. But in this case, especially because of that Peak Design magnetic quick release system, being able to take that off the camera and bring it a little closer makes everything easier. One, you're not having to look as far away or over the lens, so you're simply just getting a better, more detailed look. You also don't have to look up, which can be a bit awkward. It can mess up your posture. And in this instance, all I have to do is glance down, look back up. I can quickly check, hey, am I composed in the center? Are the screens behind me still on? And most importantly, is this damn thing still recording? Secondly, the other really important thing here is you're not having to reach as far or across the camera to control things. Here, everything is arm's distance. What we're seeing here on this screen essentially is a clean feed minus the crosshair right smack in the middle, just so I can make sure I'm composed properly. Real quickly though, in a blink, we can head over to display and get a bird's eye view of everything where you can see your f-stop, ISO, shutter angle, white balance. You can also adjust these things. So yes, having an accurate display is important, but also having a great touch experience that's responsive and quick, I would say is equally important. Also, the fact that this is happening wirelessly is pretty wild, and just hopping back and forth between ISO, white balance, everything is just smooth and seamless. The other invaluable thing here is just seeing a waveform so I can see, hey, is this a healthy exposed image? But the secret weapon, if we hop over to this guy, we have false colors. So that is beyond helpful with skin tones and just making sure that really looks great. And yeah, man, what a time to be alive in terms of filmmaking, from this FX2 to this $599 external touchscreen display that looks this good, that's also a phone. So really the way I'm looking at the 16E in this case for me is just a tool. Outside of video, it is so helpful for audio. Normally I'd run my audio interface into my MacBook, but in this case, I'm going Duet 3 by Apogee straight into the iPhone 16E, Shure SM7B, and that's it. Also not sponsored, but they have a killer companion app called Meta Recorder. For me, this is the best audio recording app you can get on iOS. It's just so simple to use. By itself, the app is $4.99, but it'll work with non-Apogee stuff, which is cool. Or if you own something Apogee, then it's free. Also, if you're watching this video before September, do not buy a Duet 3 because apparently they are dropping the price to $499, which is kind of absurd. If you're watching this video and it is September, definitely jump on that deal. But either way, I will have that link down below. It is an affiliate link that supports the channel, and more importantly, hopefully it's going to get you better audio. Jumping back to video for a second, I really can't stress how great this combo of the FX2 and the 16E has been. I was grabbing some top-down shots of that Duet and noticed that there was some pretty cool hard light happening through the window. Now, in a normal case, if I was just relying on the camera and no external display, that would have been a nightmare. Not just framing or composing, but I physically had to move over so I could grab the curtain. So I would have had to either run back and forth, reach across the camera, or just kind of go in blindly and hope that the shot came out. But in this instance, being able to take the iPhone 16e with me by my side, seeing things clearly and visibly, and then adjusting things just how I wanted them to is so damn cool. The other thing that I think gets overlooked with iPhones in general is just how good the built-in mics are. So if I were to get rid of this mic, you will quickly see how bad built-in microphones are on most cameras. So even if I forgot a microphone, I now have a backup audio tool that sounds infinitely better than the built-in camera mic. It's also an invaluable tool in music sessions, and so often I'll just throw an iPhone in the middle of the room so I can capture something decent. So is the iPhone 16e the greatest iPhone that ever existed? Probably not, but overall I think it's a damn good value, and for me, it does everything I want it to do and then some. I really appreciate you guys watching. I'm so excited just to be back in what feels like a regular fashion. So if you've missed anything lately, I got that linked up here and down below, and looking forward to seeing you guys very soon.